Welcome back to Pilates by Brianna. Today's class is going to be around our usual 30 to 35 minutes. It'll be more of a straightforward class, so not as much choreography or anything, just kind of our usual moves with some variations. We will be starting with footwork, so I have my foot bar up, I have my spring settings on for me on my balance body machine. That's 3 heavy red, 1 medium blue. I'm going to have my headrest up to start. We will have a kneeling segment during this class. If you don't like kneeling, then an option would be for you to sit on a box. So you might want to have that handy if you don't like to kneel. So go ahead, get your carriage set up, and then we'll get started.
Come to lay down on your back. You'll put the toes on the bar, heels together. You're in a Pilates V, knees in line with the shoulders, slightly externally rotated, hands down by your side. Take a moment to settle in here, find your neutral spine. And then when you're ready, begin pressing the carriage out and in, maintaining that connection in the heels as you press out. Inner thighs will come together, and then knees will separate as you resist the carriage into the stopper. Exhale to press out, inhale to resist in. Press the carriage out and then come halfway in for pulses. Bring the carriage up an inch, down an inch, controlling it with the leg muscles, trying not to bounce against the springs. Up an inch, down an inch, feeling the warmth in the legs. Press all the way out and bring the carriage in. You can put the arches on the bar. Feet will be together, knees together, inner thighs together. Curl the toes and begin pressing out and in here. Your heels are heavy and they're dropped a little bit, so toes are curled and heels are dropped. Exhale out, inhale back in. One more exhale out and come halfway in for pulses. We've got those pulses, bringing the carriage up an inch, down an inch, controlling it with the leg muscles. Steady breathing. And then press all the way out and bring the carriage on in. Slide the feet up so the heels are on the bar, hip distance apart, knees are parallel to one another. Feet are flexed towards you. Initiating with the back of the legs, begin pressing the carriage out and in. So you're really driving through those heels, feeling the glutes and the hamstrings working as you press the carriage out. Press the carriage out, and then we'll come halfway in again for those pulses. Feet are still flexed towards you. Exhale to press all the way out, and then bring the carriage back in. If your headrest is elevated, you can lower it down, and we're going into bridges. Heels will stay on the bar. You'll tuck the tailbone as you lift the hips up off the carriage. Inhale at the top, exhale to roll it back down, one vertebrae at a time. So exhale to lift, inhale at the top, exhale to roll on down. We have 3 more like this, getting that movement in the spine and the pelvis, warming all of that up before we add on to it. Go ahead, roll the hips up to your bridge again and pause in the up position. We're going to go into marches. Bring one knee into the chest. You'll lower that leg back down, and then the opposite leg. So bringing one knee in and then the other. Hips are staying steady. So when you lift the right knee, the left glute is very active to keep the hips even. Try not to rush through this. Really take your time, focusing on form. You've got one more march to each side. And then lift the hips up a little bit higher and then roll back down one vertebrae at a time. Heels are going to go wide on the bar. Hips will be externally rotated, so knees are wider than your shoulders. And then begin pressing the carriage out and in. One more time, out and in. And then you'll bring the toes on the bar. Hips will stay externally rotated. Feet are still wide. You're in a high heel position. Press out, pause, lower the heels, lift the heels, bend the knees and come in. So keeping the heels elevated, you'll press out. You have a heel raise, and then keep the heels lifted as you bring the carriage on in. We'll do 2 more like this. Press out, you have your heel raise, carriage comes back in. Last time. And then when the carriage is in at the stopper, you'll bring the toes back hip distance on the bar, press out, stay out, and we'll go into our running. So you're going to alternate bending one knee and then the other, letting the opposite heel drop, thinking of using the gastroc, the calf muscles, to lift that leg back up. And then you can pause with the right heel underneath the bar for a stretch, feeling a nice stretch in the calf. And then switch, we'll bend the right knee, the left heel will drop, feeling a stretch in that left calf. And then straighten both knees, bend the knees, bring the carriage on in. You could let the legs drape over the bar, come up into a roll up, or lay to one side and roll up for a spring change. You're just taking off one heavy red spring, so you're left with 2 heavies and 1 medium for our single leg footwork. You can start with the right toes on the bar, left leg over the bar. As you press out, left knee will come into the chest and then shoot back out over the bar for our bicycle. Last time like this, and then you'll keep the left knee straight. It'll go up towards the ceiling as you press out and back over the bar as you bring the carriage on in. So knee is straight, goes up towards the ceiling, toe is pointed, and then back over the bar as you bring the carriage in. One more time here. And then press out, stay out. With that left leg, we've got big hip circles. The leg will come across the right hip or the right leg, around and down and back up. Option to put the right hand on your right hip as a reminder to keep that pelvis steady. When the leg is overhead, we'll pause and reverse the direction of your big circle here, really working through the hip flexor to drive the leg back up towards the ceiling. And then with that leg up towards the ceiling, you can grab hold behind the leg and give yourself a stretch. And then you have the option of pointing and flexing the foot, the left foot, to go into your sciatic nerve a bit more. And then bend that left knee and bring the carriage on in, and we'll switch sides. Left toes on the bar, right leg over the bar for our bicycle. As you press out, right knee will come in towards the chest and then shoot back out over the bar. Try to keep the left heel elevated. So we're working into the calf muscle as well. Last time with the bicycle, and then we'll keep that right knee straight and it'll go up towards the ceiling as you press out, getting a dynamic stretch in the back of the right leg. Next time you press out, we'll stay out for our hip circles. That right leg will come across the left leg, around and down and back up. Nice big sweeping motion. Option to bring your left hand to the left hip as a reminder to keep it steady. And then you can reverse the direction of the circle. One more time around. And then when the leg is up towards the ceiling, you can grab hold onto that right leg and begin pointing and flexing the foot for a little sciatic nerve stretch. And then you could bend the right knee and bring the carriage on in. Both heels will come to the bar, and we've got a bridge variation. You'll lift the hips up into a bridge, press the carriage out, Lower the hips, keep the hips down as you bring the carriage all the way into the stopper, and then lift the hips and repeat. When you lower or lift the hips, the carriage will not be moving. So try to keep it steady as you move the hips either up or down. We've got one more in this direction. Lift the hips to press out. Lower the hips to bring the carriage all the way into the stopper. And then we'll reverse that. Keep the hips down to press out. Lift the hips without moving the carriage. And then use those hamstrings to pull the carriage all the way into the stopper. And then keep the carriage in at the stopper as you lower the hips down. One last time, press out, lift the hips, bring the carriage all the way in, and lower back down. Heels will drape over the bar. You'll come on up for a roll up. For a spring change, take off another heavy red. So we have on one heavy red, one medium blue, and then roll back down for our mid-back series. Pick up the straps, holding on to the short loops. Arms will go up towards the ceiling, legs in tabletop. Your shoulder blades are pressing into the carriage. You're using the lats to pull the legs or pull the arms down to the carriage and then back up towards the ceiling. So we've got our pull down first with the head down, legs in tabletop. And now we're going to be adding on to that. As you pull down, you'll lift the head and shoulders up off the carriage, and then everything will rest back down as the arms go up towards the ceiling. We'll do 3 more here. Exhale to pull down. Inhale back up. One last time. And then we're going to do that same thing, but add in leg extension. So pull down as you lift the head and shoulders and straighten out either one leg or both legs. Exhale to pull down. Inhale back up. 2 more to go. Last time. And then you're going to drop the arms down to the carriage, bend the elbows, the legs will stay in tabletop for our triceps. And we'll do that pattern again, adding on progressions. So right now we're just bending and straightening the elbow. Last time. And then we'll add in the chest lift. Your choice of staying up in a chest lift or going up and down like we did in the last round. So whichever one feels better for you. So still bending, straightening the elbows, working into our triceps, and then our upper abdominals. And now we're going to add in the legs. As you straighten the elbows, you'll also straighten the legs, and then pull everything back in. 1 more. And then lower the head. Straighten out the elbows, and we'll do our T arms. Legs will start in tabletop, arms will come out to a T, and then bring them back to your hips. Out to a T, back to the hips. We have 3 more here before we add on our progressions. Last one. And then you can raise the head and shoulders, your choice of staying in the up position. And we've got 5 with our arms. Keeping tension out of the neck. Last time. And then I'm going to keep my legs straight, staying up in that chest lift, and we have 5 here. The option to be moving the legs in and out of it. Good work. And then you can lower everything down and hang up the straps. Windshield wiper the legs side to side, just get a little stretch in the low back. And then when you're ready, you're going to come on up off the carriage. And we'll keep the springs the same for this first set. 1 heavy red, 1 medium blue. Come to kneeling. If you don't like kneeling, this is where you would grab your box. Put on the long box. I have my ankles off the carriage. I'm on the short loops. And we have a high elbow row. So you're going to pull the elbows in line with the shoulders and then control the arms back forward, really squeezing into the shoulder blades, working our back body. Slight engagement in the core. You're strong through the thighs to stay in an upright position. Last time. And then you can grab hold onto the tapes. We're going to do rock backs. So still in an upright position. Arms are straight. You're going to hinge back and then use your quads to come back to a tall kneeling position. If you're seated on a box, you're going to do roll backs and work into the abs. Last time here. And then bring the carriage in, take off the medium blue spring so you're left with one heavy red. Hold on to the short loops, palms facing up, and we'll go for bicep curls. Bend the elbows, trying to keep the elbows in line with the shoulders, and then straighten the elbows all the way out, working through our full range of motion. Two more. Last one. And rest. You can hang up the left strap, take a quarter turn to your right, put on a medium blue, take off the heavy red, so we just have one medium blue. We're still kneeling. Long loop will go in your outer hand, in your right hand, for external rotation. Keep the elbow tucked in, elbows at 90-degree angle as you rotate that arm out and then back in, working through our rotator cuff muscles. Tall kneeling position, slight engagement in the core. If you would like it heavier, you'll scoot yourself closer to the foot bar. If you would like less resistance, go closer to the shoulder blocks. Last time. And then we're going to go into draw the sword. So now you're going to bring the arm up on a diagonal and then back towards that opposite hip. So up on a diagonal and then back towards your left hip. Again, working through the muscles surrounding the shoulder blade on that right side. Last time. And then we're going to an overhead tricep. So you're going to do that same draw the sword motion. And then your left hand is going to go towards the shoulder block. So you're tilted. Arm is up towards the ceiling. You're looking down towards the shoulder block and you're going to bend the elbow and then straighten the elbow up towards the ceiling. So it's a pretty intense way of working the triceps, but very effective. We're going for about 8 of them. Two more. Last one. And then you could bring the arm in front of you so there's some slack on the rope and then come on up. Hang up that strap and we're going to turn and face the opposite direction and repeat that. So now you'll pick up the other strap. It'll go in your left hand. Long loop for our external rotation. Elbow will stay tucked in at the side. You'll rotate the arm out and then come back to center. Two more. And last one. And then we'll do the draw the sword. So now your elbow will be straight. And then you're going to bend the elbow as it comes up and then straighten out the arm. So pulling it on the diagonal away from you, working around your shoulder blade on that left side. Last time. And then we have that tricep press. So now you'll come up on the diagonal. Right hand will go to the shoulder block. You're going to lean over, side bend to the right hand side. You're looking down towards the shoulder block. Bend that left elbow and straighten the elbow 8 times. Last time. And then to come out of it, you'll bring the arm forward, hang up that strap, and come on up. Let's add on one heavy red. So we have one red, one blue. You'll have the right foot on the shoulder block. 4 arms will go to the bar. Your left leg is in line with the right leg. Spine is straight. For our scooters, begin pressing the carriage out and in with that right leg. Left leg doesn't move. You have a slight bend in the knee on that left side, but we're working through the glutes on that right to press the carriage away from you and then control it back in. Press out, come halfway in, little pulses. And then press the carriage all the way out, back in. Your right foot is going to go on the opposite shoulder block. We'll externally rotate. The foot is on the top part of the shoulder block. And then press the carriage out and in here. So working more into our glute med. It's going to feel a little bit different in this position. Press all the way out and then bring it halfway in for those pulses. And then press the carriage all the way out again and back in. We're going to take off the blue spring. You have 2 options for the next one. Either a flying lunge, both hands will come to the bar, straighten out the back leg, bend into the front leg. As you bring the carriage in, you're keeping the carriage leg straight, and then you're lifting up and that left leg will go behind you or the knee will go into the chest. So pick which option works best for you and then we'll get going. So you'll press the carriage out. As you bring the carriage in, you're putting pressure through that shoulder block, keeping the right knee straight, and then that left knee is either going to lift in towards the chest or you'll kick out behind you. Either way, when that left foot comes back to the ground, you are landing softly. Last time. And then you can put that right knee down on the carriage, press the carriage out for a hip flexor stretch on that right side. And then bring the carriage on in. You're going to come to stand on our carriage, either for the up stretch or long stretch. Either way, heels will be halfway up the shoulder blocks. Press out to plank and then bring the hips back up if you want to go for up stretch. Or if you want to do long stretch, you'll stay in your plank position and move out and in from the arms. So again, whichever variation works better for you. And we'll go ahead and do about 10 of them here. Whenever you're in the plank, your spine is nice and straight. Two more, stay strong. Last one. and then bring the carriage on in. Walk forward, add on a red spring. So we have one heavy red. Add on a medium spring. So we have on one heavy red, one medium blue. And then step the feet back towards the shoulder blocks for elephant. You're rounded through the spine. Your arms and your trunk don't move as you press the carriage out with your legs, and then pull it back in with your core. If you have pretty good hamstring length, you might want to pick the toes up so you're just on the heels for a bit of an additional stretch into the hamstrings. Last one here. Bring the carriage in and then step off to your right. And we have the scooter on this side. Left foot will go up against the shoulder block. You're going to put the forearms on the bar. Lift the knee up off the carriage and begin pressing the carriage out and in with that left leg, working into the glutes on that left side. Press the carriage all the way out to that full knee extension and then bring it halfway in for pulses. And then press all the way out and back in. You can come up onto your hands. The left foot will go on the opposite shoulder block, top part of the block. Leg is externally rotated, and then you're pressing out and in here. Feeling more into the gluteus medius on that left side. Press out and then bring the carriage halfway in for pulses. Press the carriage all the way out and then bring it on in. We're going to take off a blue spring, so you just have one heavy red. Foot will go back to the closed shoulder block for our flying lunge. Press the carriage out with the left leg and then bend into the right leg. Bring the carriage in, and then with that right leg, it'll either go in towards the chest or back behind you. When you bring that right leg back down, you are landing softly. Last time. And then you could put the left knee on the carriage, press out for a stretch into the left hip flexor. And then you could bring the carriage on in. Step off, and we are going to finish with a roll down. Standing up nice and tall, you're going to circle sweep the arms up towards the ceiling and then bring them down through the chest as you roll down towards your feet, getting a nice stretch in the back of the legs. And then you'll roll back up one vertebrae at a time, and you are all set. Thank you for joining me. If you like this workout, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.